Good morning and welcome to session 5 of the Applied Day 2017 event. This particular event is going to talk about AutoCAD Electrical and some of the benefits of that software in the electrical design process. I'm an electrical engineer with Applied Engineering. Some of the experience I have is in electrical design, various CAD systems, standards development, and then as training as well. So today we're going to walk you through some of the benefits of AutoCAD Electrical and a little bit of the highlights on Applied Engineering. Some of Applied's top talent. We recruit some of the best engineers to fit your project and fit into your team and attack any problem head on. We also have total technology solutions to power both the entire business. We can build our team to scale for whatever you're an engineer and 2 IT experts or 14 engineers and 12 IT experts. We can adjust to fit your needs. As well as services, and then any upcoming training and events that we have scheduled, you'd simply click on the website and you'd see a calendar that goes out several months in the future so you can plan your training accordingly. We also have a support page as well. Some of the subjects, an introduction to AutoCAD Electrical and some of the benefits that it offers. Tools within the large toolbox that comes with AutoCAD Electrical. And then we'll just briefly, a nice way to set up your company's template so that the drawings, if you were to send them out of your office into somebody else, that they know those drawings originated in your company. There will be a live question and answer session at the end or viewing screen. And if you just type those into the chat window, I'll view them and try to answer them the best I can. So with that, let's begin. As I mentioned earlier, this is section number 5 of day number 2. There's one section to follow this. If you stay tuned for that afterwards, it'll begin at 11 o'clock Central Time. So what is AutoCAD Electrical? AutoCAD Electrical is an extension of standard AutoCAD. I'll show you some, try to flip screens here. Then the electrical side, there's a schematic tab, a panel tab, a reports tab, and an import-export data tab, as well as some other tabs along the ribbon bar that are unique to AutoCAD Electrical. But if an individual needed to do some basic AutoCAD work, they can do that on the Home tab. So if they're familiar with standard AutoCAD, there's a schematic page for their project or just that drawing. Start this rung number 1, for example, will now become 501. There are certain components, this control relay, for example, is 159. It will not be affected by this change, but we'll go into our project update, make our selections. We want to update all of in a moment that the wire number, that particular rung, as in this push button, are all new number. Project wide, you would update those so you don't have to remember to go onto your report tab and make that update. It does it for you. So it's a very nice feature. It permits you to make changes on the fly and not have to worry about cleaning them up, as the software keeps track of that for you. Some of the different drawings that we can generate in AutoCAD Electrical. We have our schematic drawings. which is there's a couple of different options, but basically this is how we display in a PLC, for example, wires that make connections between a module and the various components, whether it's a push button or a relay, and following those through the whole circuit. I'll go through a couple of those different options in a moment. Panel drawings. Panel drawings are basically your footprint for the components. So if we were laying out a cabinet, for example, if we had a Hoffman cabinet of a certain size, we could lay out the push buttons and various relays, DIN rail, etc., to make sure that when that set of drawings gets down to the production floor and somebody goes to assemble that cabinet, that the components fit in that cabinet. It has the catalog data contains all of the physical dimensions for the components that you can utilize. Another set of drawings are the reference drawings, and one example of that is a bill of material, and we'll go through some of the different examples, different types of reports that we can generate with that. The most common schematic drawing option is what we call line referencing, and that's one that I just showed you. So components that are on line 300 have that. If they originate on line 300, they have 300 as part of their identifier. This is probably the most common that of the options that I've seen. Another option is the XY grid, where your vertical alpha, so components that fall into A1, for example, push button A-1, you have an delay as B1. It falls into the grid laid out by B1. Third option in column B, for example, has a -B identifier. So why would we want to use by utilizing AutoCAD the electrical system properly, you can also lay out the cabinet. The end result we had, and you put it in a nicely organized cabinet. You've got your channel guides, you've got your terminal blocks, relays, various components, drives that are going to reside in that cabinet. The panel drawing, which is the result of, would result in that cabinet that we just showed. Again, it's used for space claims. So all of the components that are found in the catalog, whether it's a push button, a relay, a DIN rail, that catalog data includes the physical size of those components, so that when you lay it out in your panel drawing, it's an accurate representation. So you know, Hoffman 16, these don't fit in here. You can upsize your cabinet to the next size enclosure, and when the shop floor goes to order those components to build that cabinet, they'll have the correct information. Reference drawings, there's a variety of reports and information that can be contained within the reference drawings. Bill of material, quantities of components, so that you can generate a bill of material report, and the person in charge of ordering the components for that cabinet or that enclosure know what to order and how many of each one to order. So it's a very useful bit of information on the electrical side. Again, the catalog data can contain manufacturing part numbers, physical size, colors, and other various information. We can also, I'll flip back over to AutoCAD Electrical and show you some of the report options that we have. Our reports number of report options, again, generates the quantity data, so that when we order the components to build X number of that project, we get the correct number of pieces. We get the right number of relays, the DIN rail, etc. You can also run a report on missing bill of materials. This would tell you if some of the components were not listed in the bill of material. You can run a component report. You can see some of the other advantages of using AutoCAD Electrical is you get a consistent output. If we start with good drawing and good panels being built down in the shop floor, or more importantly, if we outsource the panel construction or the cabinet construction, that there aren't mistakes made at another shop which result in rework and added expense. The end result is we have a much better product. One of the other large advantages is a repeatable process. If you're generating these cabinets for use in a building, for example, you would like serial number 1 to be exactly the same as serial number 999 if that's the intent. So if in a year somebody comes back and orders another one of those cabinets or that enclosure, that they'll get the exact same thing. They'll know the footprint is the same. They'll know the cable inputs and outputs are exactly the same. Again, our goal is to go from a well laid out drawing, schematic drawing and panels to a very nicely produced cabinet in a lot of cases. There are other uses for it, but this is some of the favorite tools that I have within AutoCAD Electrical. There's the ability to import and export data from the spreadsheet, so you can build your PLC circuitry offline, if you will, to AutoCAD Electrical and generate your drawings from that. You also have the ability to export that out to PLC format, so you could reuse that on another project, for example. That's one of the large advantages of it. I'm going to pause out here for a moment and go find a simple that we would interpret, and here we're assigning the address for the various modules within the PLC, a description of what each of those inputs or outputs are, secondary description is available all the way up to 5. That information is not displayed in the AutoCAD Electrical software, but is more for use in running reports, etc. You can generate reports that include that information. So once you get populated inputs, that would be this. And for the import and export of the data, you go to the Import Export Data tab, and import it out. Can really simplify, allows you to reuse that data if you were to if you wanted to start a new project and start with a similar tools as the SURF tool. It basically shows you the component references and their location and allows you to jump between those locations. So if I was to relay one tool, retag it, various other ones, but the one that we're talking about right now is the SURF option. If I select SURF, it'll pull up a small dialog box that shows me all of the location cabinet. Sheet number 4 reference is going to be line 254. So if I select that and I say go to, it's going to open that drawing and take us to that, and it'll take me to that location. So it's a very useful tool, especially drawing where that wanted to go through a little bit of the catalog data as well, just to show you some of the, and to insert a component, we would select the icon menu. AutoCAD Electrical that you can select if your company doesn't use NFPA, if they use a JIS or another, it's a normally open, normally closed contact, mushroom head, normally open, closed. And also from within this, you can utilize the menu and jump to timers, for example, or motor control, whatever different options you might be looking for on your design. If we selected, so we'll go back to a push right onto that wire, and I would select it, identify it, and put a push button right there. Template customization. In AutoCAD Electrical, you have the ability to create a custom template. In this case, we have our custom applied engineering template that we built. This provides you with, again, a consistent look for all company drawings. If you were to send your drawings out to have someone else build your product, and you want to make sure that they know they're looking at your drawings, you would want to build a custom template for that as well. Flip back over to AutoCAD Electrical, and you can see that. So in some racks, descriptions out onto the kind of a flyout on the right side. And some of the components, we've got some you can see the cabinet. One of the items I forgot to mention at the beginning was some of the locations. We have an office in Brooklyn Park and have IT and engineering professionals that can help you complete your projects on time and in budget. I would like to open up the question and answer session. If you have any questions, please submit them on the chat window of the. There are the commands used in AutoCAD Electrical. There is the ability to use the command line functions that you might be familiar with, but some of those functions or commands can cause problems in AutoCAD Electrical. So there are specific AutoCAD Electrical commands that should be utilized when they exist. So the delete and the erase command, for example, one of those will result in the circuit trying to heal itself if you were to delete a wire, whereas if you just erase it, it will just remove that component. So that's one of the keys. So if you were to attend a AutoCAD Electrical class, we have a fundamentals class and an advanced class, and we would talk about a lot of those and go through a lot of that in more detail than we have on this short webinar. We also offer an unlimited training class package. Individuals can sign up for a 12-month period. The cost is $4,995 per person, and it gives you unlimited access to all of our classes listed on the flyer. Thank you for attending today.